Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Free Agents Podcast. Back again in our rewatch series, the Pre-Agents Podcast, right? That's the title that we were going with. I forgot. It has only been a week, but I think that's what we're doing here. And we're rewatching the challenge from the very beginning. Last week, we watched the entirety of season 1, Road Rules All-Stars, and we're back here this week to begin covering Real World Road Rules Challenge season 2 of the show. We'll do part 1 this week, part 2 next week, and get into it all. Of course, I am Matt. I'm here first with Brian Scally. Scally, how are you?
Hello. I'm doing so well. I'm excited to be here, but excited to talk to our guest for 2 weeks in a row, even more. It's unheard of.
Oh my God. Unheard of that we would ever talk to this person more than 2 weeks in a row. It's never happened before, at least not in a recorded fashion. But yes, Mel is back with us today. Mel, how are you?
I'm delighted to be back. Oh, what a fun time it's been catching up on the show a second time.
Yes, it's been a minute, at least for most of us, since we saw it, a first time through, whether it was in 1999 when it aired or sometime more recently.
That is true. Or maybe my first time seeing it, period. So I'm
Maybe
excited. Look, I had a good time and I'm excited to get through it. We are looking ever so slightly more like the challenge we know today, but it still definitely is of a time.
Yeah, slightly more is a good way to put it. Certainly not quite there yet as a format that is more recognizable to what the current format is, but just by, first of all, adding more people into the show and then having a 2-team format rather than just 5 people relatively working all together, kind of brings us to where we are now. Before we get deeper into the season, did we have any loose ends we needed to close up with last week's podcast? Are we all okay with the Mount Rushmore that we set up? I know one thing that we were looking at before we got on here was we found the great Will from America's confessional counts over on he posts them every week on Reddit, but he's got a big master spreadsheet. So we were looking at the confessional counts from season 1. Did anyone have any big takeaways with any of that?
Yeah, it's so funny that we were like, okay, who's definitely on this is Eric. A lot of the storyline revolves around him. He has half as many confessionals as the top confessional getter. And not to say that I feel like his storyline is any less important to the success of the first season, but it is funny to see confessionals don't always reflect that.
Yeah.
And then he brought the drama, but just not the quantity of confessionals needed.
Yeah. Mel, we were debating if John or Sean Duffy were going to get the last spot on the Mount Rushmore of that season in particular. And looking at this, I don't know. I guess we got it right by the math. John is at the bottom of the confessionals list. It goes Cynthia at 30, Rachel and Sean both at 26, fittingly. Then Eric at 15, John at 13.
That still surprised me because I still don't feel like I saw Sean that much in confessionals. So to have 26, like Cynthia and Rachel, yes. And actually, I assumed Rachel was number 1. I felt like Rachel was constantly on, but for Sean to have 26 is still mind blowing to me.
Yeah,
he's just forgettable.
Yeah,
he gets a bunch in the first episode and the last episode, sandwiched with like consistency throughout the middle. I guess is good enough for him. But Rachel certainly has more like. It looks like she has more per episode. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. So are we all good on season 1? Ready to move forward to the next chapter in the challenge?
Just
Ready
a reminder, if anyone wants to Venmo me to help me buy my John Brennan, Jesus, Satan was beat with an ugly stick by Jesus shirt. It is $75 and I would love for you guys to crowd on me.
I don't know if I knew that price.
Yeah. I did send it. I figured I was like, let me send this to my brother because I feel like he would appreciate this too. And boy, did we have a laugh and had the exact same conversation that we had about the shirt. So it was like having this podcast over a second time.
And Scally, nothing else or?
No, I am excited to dive into season 2.
All right, well, let's do that where, again, we have more competitors this time around. We have 2 teams. Last time, it was just a team of real worlders playing essentially a game of road rules. And now here we have a team of both real world and road rules. And there's 6 players on each team. Scally, the format, though, not too different as far as they get a challenge. There's still Mr. Big, a different Mr. Big. And eventually, just instead of the whole team winning, now just one of these teams will win the season.
Yeah, exactly. We are, halfway there. We're getting missions. It definitely is road rules coded, but there are now two teams competing against each other. It is not just can you complete this? It is who will complete it better. And it is a little bit closer to that challenge, but I would still probably overall still say this is basically a road rule season.
Essentially, yeah. Mel, with the cast that we have here, the 12 names, we also have, of course, the confessional counts available to us for this season, and we'll talk through the stories that we've had so far in 3 episodes. But I would say to the average challenge fan, anybody that's listening, if you're casual, if you're, I don't know, haven't gone back to these old seasons, the names that you're going to recognize the most of who is here is Beth and then Mark Long. And maybe like if you've been keeping up recently, Kifla has returned in a recent challenge all-star season, as has Ronnie. But Mel, whether it's those names or the other names, who were you excited to see back on our screens here as we revisited season 2?
So when I think back of this season and who was like etched in my mind, one is that I got one of them wrong, and that's because they look alike. So who I remembered on this cast specifically was Neil and Janet. But what I did realize is I always thought Neil and Janet in the back of my mind were a showmance, but in fact it's Jason, and that is because him and Neil look exactly the same. I don't know who in casting allowed two men to have bleach blonde hair in a cast, and we're like, one of you has to like change it. Don't they do that in Big Brother all the time?
My notes are a disaster. I don't know who's who in any of this episode unless it's like the 3 people that I did know going into it.
And I'm a fan of Jason, but like, come on.
Luckily, one of them has a British accent, so it made it manageable for me. But yeah, when I was like, okay, bleach blonde hair, that's Neil. Okay, so Neil did. Nope, that's Jason. Okay, go back, correct everything. Yeah, that was a constant problem I was facing. I think the other thing is for context, late 90s, early 2000s, probably half of all men had bleach blonde hair, so
yes,
it was kind of difficult to escape. So maybe impressive, only 2 men on the cast had bleach blonde hair.
It definitely brought me back. I was like, these are the celebrity. This is the look that celebrities had back then. That I'm just like, I know where I was, even if I wasn't watching the show. But who
the
else?
Yellow lens glasses are probably one of my favorite 1999 things, where it's like the black rim, yellow glasses. I definitely bought that. Maybe even because of this season of the show, if we're being dead honest.
Okay, so we have that's so, and actually just to like zoom out a little bit. Are the people that are on this season, because I think Mel, you would know the timeline of both of these shows a little bit better than me, who doesn't know it at all. Is it like more recent seasons of both the Real World and Road Rules that like they're immediately being plucked out of like their new fame into this show, or are some of these seasons a little bit farther back?
Yeah, I would say that this is pulling closer to it. So Montana and Jason were on Real World Boston with Sean, who was on the last season. So that had filmed probably 2 years before this. And then Nathan and Janet both came from Real World Seattle, which would have been right before this as well. And then on the Road Rule side, Noah, Ronnie, and Ann are all from the same season. Actually, kind of crazy that half of that Winnebago was the same group. So very fascinating, and recency bias on that one.
Gotta say, I couldn't tell you one thing about Ann through 3 episodes.
I'm barely remembering Ann from her season, and I'm going. So my one thing with Ann is, one thing I find very interesting about all of this is the absolute erasure of road rules from the internet. It is so hard to find a cast photo that is not pixelated to an extreme level. Nobody kept up their wikis, no bio. So like if you go to a Real World page, it'll usually give like the cast overview and like a decent paragraph about like who they are, like what's their sort of story, their basis, their bio. Road Rules has none of that. So I was trying to refresh myself on who these people were. And I have this back of mind story that Ann had been in like an accident or something, like before the show. I don't know if anybody else who's like an audience member listening can confirm, but I felt like she had something, and I want to say it was related to her face. And that was like, because I always remember Ann having like physically a big mouth. But I feel like I could also be making that up. I have no proof because there's nothing out there.
Yeah, I tried when I was learning these people's names to, no problem. I'm just going to Google these people's names and I will look at their cast photos and then I'll be able to recognize who they are on the show. Nope. They do not look exactly like their cast photos that are available, when cast photos are even available in the first place. As you said, Mel, I'm starting to think that Road Rules is a Mandela effect and it never actually existed because it is extremely difficult to find almost anything. I watched a later season or two of Road Rules, but my hopes of binging them all seem to be completely gone in front of me. No Road Rules for me.
Mel, did you say you saw a lower third at some point?
In like truly the first 2 minutes, they showed them like a blank, and it would say the person's name, the logo of their season. I believe then on the right side it had their age, and then their job, if they had a job, or most likely it said like college student at whatever
Okay.
school. That was it. And they showed it one time because I was like, oh, this will be helpful for everyone this time.
Oh, great. Yeah, imagine.
And then it was never again. They
Not at all.
it really was and I'd say a weakness of the series. Not that you need it to be super heavy handed, but it is implying that like you have kept up with every single bit of this soap opera of a show, and we're not going to give you any backstory. We're not going to remind you who these people were because you saw them like 3 years ago. So you should know about Kaylee's backstory of her mom passing away at a young age. You're like, what? I don't remember any of this, let alone 20 years later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like, if anyone's been listening to the podcast a lot lately, you know, I've been binging like lots of Housewives. And the great thing about the format of those episodes is they show you like a little, promo or I don't know, scene of the person like dancing around on a studio set before they get to the clips of them from the episode. So there's always just that opportunity to be reminded of who you're about to visit the world of before you do so. Of course, I'm not asking for that here, just the name, just anything to help me identify who these people are if I don't know them.
Even like last season, it was like, hey, here's Eric. He's on the train first. Okay, now we're picking up this man. His name's John. So even if they didn't have the lower thirds, which this season did have, I appreciated it, but I had no get to know you segment, so it was just 12 people who half their face was covered by a blindfold, and I was like, "Is that Beth?" Like, I can't really tell. Like, I don't know who these people are at this point. So it was definitely difficult to distinguish who was who, and took me definitely rewinding a couple times every episode.
And interestingly enough, I mean, we know, again, more than anybody else here, Mark Long and Beth, who have gone on to have plenty of challenge seasons under their belt. Even still to this day, we're seeing them compete. Beth on All Stars 5, Mark was just on season 40. So I'm just like going into this assuming that they're going to be the main characters because they become main characters across the show. But through the 3 episodes that we saw so far, Beth has a storyline. She's going to end up with an injury, an ankle injury that kind of keeps her still somehow allows her to still be competing, but keeps her relatively on the sidelines. And Mark has like no major storyline so far. So we are really still getting to meet all these other characters, which is not bad.
A relief.
Yeah.
At least for Beth.
Mark is also vaguely a bleach blonde man. He's just different body type than the other two.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's already a brick wall through the 2nd season of the show.
Yeah. So looking ahead at the confessional counts, I don't think Mark is about to get a bunch more stories. So I hope we're satisfied with what we've gotten. But he is definitely here. But that's about it. I'm not seeing Mark jumping off the screen just yet, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. So with the season 2 cast, we have no returnees from the first season of the show. And as we even go into like season 3, I'm looking at my chart. There's nobody from season 2 that's going to end up on season 3 of the show. So very different from how things are going to go in, not even just recent times, but as we get into either the late single digits of the show or teens of the show, that people are going to be allowed to come back in back-to-back seasons, and that becomes much more of a common thing, let alone just like being allowed to do so. So nobody from season 1 is back here, and I'm also just looking at my chart to see like who of these people are one and done here. From the Real World team, we have Janet, Jason, and Neil, who are all one and dones. And then from the Road Rules team, we have Kaylee and Noah, who are one and dones. Everybody else at least has one, if not two, if not three, if not, however many more challenges. So I feel like obviously that's not new to a challenge fan. If you are somebody who jumped in recent years, there's plenty of rookies that show up that don't come back more often. But I don't know. I'm interested.
Yeah.
I'm interested now to see Scally, who the people are that even like Janet and Jason have this storyline. There's a showman's forming here between the two of them, but we never go back to it.
I'm so sad because I'm really starting to like some of these people, and it's like, oh, I will just never ever see you again. I guess unless I go back and binge the Real World at some point, because that seemingly is still available in some places. Yeah, not really the repeating cast that we're known, and honestly, this is what I'm trying to get back to. Not the one and done so much, but give them breaks. This is so refreshing at a certain point. I'm like, oh, look at this. I won't get sick of so many of these people for a long time because this is not their career.
Yeah. Very true. Mel, specifically, let's talk just a moment here. We talked about Mark and Beth a little bit, but Keefla and Ronnie, who have recently returned to All Stars. And of course, you come on the drafts with us for those, and you sing the praises of these people. And now we're meeting them for the first time. Are you like enjoying the experience of knowing that we're now going back and seeing them here in their OG days?
Yeah, for sure. Because it's hard too that it's been 20 years. And so when we're trying to remember, like, what did they do on their season? And again, since Road Rules in particular is particularly scrubbed, it's great to remember why maybe I chose them, and not just for nostalgia, but like that they did make an impact on me. I just maybe can't pull the deep memories out of it. Keefla in particular, he's kind of lights up on screen, especially in comparison to the rest of Road Rules. What I am kind of sensing across the board is I would call Real World personality hires, and then Road Rules people workers. Because Real World people are really like, you had to do a show where you are just, it's about your personality and who you are. And then Road Rules had them doing stuff and you just had to be fun people. But Keefla in particular sticks out because he's very competitive. He's got a smile that lights up the world when he's happy, and when he's upset about something, he lets it show. He's just very competitive compared to some of the others in an outward way. And then Ronnie is just living it up. And I think I remember when we discussed Ronnie, and I remember that she'd had like a little bit of drama with her cast. And that was based on probably like clips I found on YouTube, but you get to see her having fun in these moments. And I don't want to skip ahead into the challenge and stuff, but she has a blast on these, which is so wonderful to see.
She does. Yeah. I mean, specifically, we can skip around into them, like specifically the bungee jumping one. A lot of people are terrified, and she seems like she's down. She's ready to go.
They also got to play basketball with Kobe Bryant and
Yes.
And oh my gosh, the guy from the Pacers. I forget his
Reggie
name right
Miller?
now. Yes.
Reggie Williams.
Williams?
I think
No,
so.
Miller.
No? Miller?
I think Miller.
Why did I write
I'm
that
pretty
down?
sure it's Miller. Reggie Williams is a modern day.
I'm dumb.
Right?
You're right.
It's okay. Yeah. I think of him too because he was on a Nickelodeon show. So that's what I associate it with. But either way,
I went back and even freaking went back for the second because these links are very much appreciated. There is every so often where I'm like, did the audio cut out?
These are so early internet clips. By the way, the font, there is like a watermark over it, obviously. And it is a font that took me back in time almost as much as just watching this show of like what it used to be to do anything on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even watching on cable back in the day was, sometimes the internet, the audio might cut out on cable if we're lucky.
Yeah.
Because I think they shot this straight up on like VHS as well. Like, and I'm not being that as like a joke. I mean, I'm pretty sure watching behind the scenes, they're just using standard VHS video recorders on their shoulders, taking video all day.
Mel, do you remember at all, thinking back to All Stars 3, what was it, like 2 or 3 years ago at this point? I did not remember at all that teammates from this Road Rules team on Challenge Season 2, Mark and Ronnie, were on that season together, along with Cynthia from, the first season of the show. Cynthia ends up being the first boot or the second boot of the season. She's not there very long, which, again, looking back and meeting her more in depth is tragic. At the time, I'm like, I don't really know this person, so it's not making a big deal, big impact on me. But Ronnie stuck around like most of the way through that season, and Mark, I believe, made the final. I just don't remember any specific interactions that they had.
No, not at all, which is very interesting. And actually, now that I think will be really fun as a listener, as a friend, etc., is should All Stars return and continue to pull from back in the day and you doing this pre-agents rewatch, I'd love to see if your drafting changes at all down the line to start to pick some of these older people just because you feel more supportive of them or like their potential, even if it's a pretty old potential.
Could be. I don't know that I'm ever going to be as high on their, draft pick potential as you are. But that's, you come from this place of nostalgia. I am, liking these people, but I still am never going to have that nostalgia that you have. So I'll be jealous about that while I maybe don't actually draft them. But I don't know. Does Scal, you have anything else on like specifically setting up who we have here? Of course, like if anybody is watching alongside of us, or if you're, I should say, not watching alongside and you want to see all of the names, first and last names and original seasons, just hop over to like a Wikipedia chart. I don't know if it's the most interesting podcasting as we go to give you first, last name, original season. But we're going to get the highlights in unless Scalia, you think we missed anybody?
No, I think that one of my early memories of the challenge is Beth and Montana fighting on a track and field. I am watching the opening of this season, seeing them both standing on the field of a track, blindfolded, and I was like, okay, what are the origins of this like feud that eventually develops? Do they get along? Do they not like each other? And I definitely caught a couple of comments that I think give us indication of how they feel.
Yeah, I knew. I was like, I know this person, Montana. I'm like, I know that she is involved somewhat. I think in the early seasons, and as I was looking at the chart, I confirmed that yes, she's back for 2 more seasons in the, I don't know, following years. Her last season is season 11, so it's not like she has made her way into like even the middle era of the show, let alone like an All Stars. But I just recognize the name in the face enough, and she's going to be a pretty big part in these opening episodes, just kind of in a narration type of role. How many confessionals does she have? She's not even like the top. Well, she's like towards the top of the list overall. But what we've seen so far, she's just been like, I guess, consistent enough throughout the episodes.
Yeah, she's had 9 so far. Not jumping off the page, but compared to some people, Anna and Kelly have very, very few.
Yeah, like where are you? Who are you? But we got a little bit of I keep wanting to say it's Kaylee, right?
I believe it's Kaylee.
Because it just looks like it's Kelly, but I keep wanting to say it. I don't know. All right, so let's go back to the beginning of the episode, Scally, where I think you've alluded to once or twice here that they show up on this massive field and they've got blindfolds on. And what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, we have 6 people, nameless, faceless, half faceless, I would say, with the blindfolds. We are not told who they are. It is just like there are 6 real worlders, there are 6 road rulers, and they're going to be competing. We have a former real worlder as the new Mr. Big this season. Interesting that they go for the guy who was kicked off of his season, I guess 2 times in a row.
Yeah, like, just like Puck last time. They picked the controversial figure to be their host, which is a choice. Though David was an aspiring comedian, active comedian, so I guess they found their ways to work around those people.
Do we ever see David on a challenge in the future?
Good question. What's his last name? Edwards? David?
I'm trying to figure this out.
Yes, we do. He's on season 6.
Okay. I'm very interested to meet David. Mel, do you remember why he was kicked off of his Real World season?
Oh, this is a big one. They actually, funny enough, they show we talked about that they show no flashbacks, no context. Yet the one that I do recall them showing is they did show briefly. So in the Real World LA House season 2, David and Tammy got into this sort of teasing match kind of thing that really escalated where Tammy, I believe, was nude under like her comforter and David was trying to expose her and it turned into like a real thing. And the house ultimately decided that he should leave the house.
Yeah, I'm reading right now. He pulls bed covers off an underwear-clad Tammy as a quote-unquote joke in episode 6, develops into a serious matter. The cast votes him out in episode 7. So, would definitely. I'm glad to see that it didn't fly then. We've seen similar stuff coming up. I'm thinking of God, what's his name? Vinny on the challenge much in the future later. So I'm glad to see that actually was taken seriously back then.
Can you guys imagine when we're going to meet TJ Lavin? I'm just going to be so overjoyed at this point.
It's so far. We have to go through so many other hosts before
I
we even get to
know, it's
TJ. And then don't they do TJ, then change it back again a couple of times?
Do they?
I felt like it was like TJ for one, then they switch, then they go back. But I'm not 100%
No, it doesn't look
sure.
like that. It looks like once TJ
Am I
joins in season 11, the Gauntlet 2, it looks like it's his for the taking.
Yeah, as much as I'm excited for TJ, I will say I am excited for some of the other classic hosts. I have good memories with Johnny Mosley, Dave
Maybe
Mira.
I'm just confusing that. Maybe I'm blending them together.
Yeah,
Those
that's
two
what
white
it
men
is.
with brown hair.
I
They're
think
the
that
Neil and Jason of hosts.
Dave and Johnny trade off, I think, a little bit.
Yes, they trade off back and forth for a couple of
Okay, that's what I'm
seasons.
thinking.
And season 4 we have no host, so let's see what happens when we get there.
Bless.
But yeah, we have these two teams blindfolded on the football field here, and we are going to get to our first mini challenge, I guess, of the episode, where money is going to drop from a helicopter, and there's a golden dollar. By the way, all of the dollar bills here, these fake dollar bills, have David, Mr. Big's face on them, and they need to find the golden dollar, which eventually Jason from the Real World team is going to do. And we're on our way, Mel.
What a difficult challenge. That one made me laugh so much, where it was like done in 15 seconds, which is kind of how you can describe all of these challenges, is that they are a blip of airtime still, which in one way is kind of refreshing, because my pet peeve sometimes at The Amazing Race is having to watch the same challenge like 13 times, even though someone's like way ahead. So the brevity is refreshing, if not maybe a little too brief.
Mm-hmm. The stakes of what they win here is interesting as we're getting set up, Scally, of like what the game is going to be about. We learn that not only is it like almost like have versus have nots dynamics of the nicer Winnebago versus the less nice one, but they're also playing for winning every challenge along the way gets them more time ultimately in the money machine by the end of the show.
Is the most late 90s, early 2000s thing in the whole world is a money machine.
Yes.
I'm so excited. I forgot this.
We just watched what did we watch
excited.
recently, Scally? Was that
I Love Money.
Machine? Yes. Well, there we
Which
go.
is not surprising that I Love Money was a little bit behind the times. But you know, a Money Machine feels like a very much a classic. I mean, I can't think of the most modern show to include a money wind tunnel.
Yeah.
Well, I
Very
guess
funny.
Big Brother did kind of recently. It just wasn't money.
For a final prize, it's like it's one thing for a challenge, perhaps, but for it
It's
to
so
be the
wild.
ultimate, how, we've been watching a lot of seasons where it is like you can win up to $1 million, whatever, but for it to be like, oh, the prize money is this, but also it's only based on what you can grab out of a prize win machine, is so funny.
It's giving
so excited
Dondi.
for finale. Yes, it is giving. I'm honestly shocked that that's not what the final thing is, which is like, not only do they open the final case, but then put that money in a money machine and you have to grab the rest of it. I would tune into that.
And hey, this is a huge step up from the first season they win a like vacation, and the season they're playing for $50,000 up to $50,000 in cash. What, you disagree?
Let's see how much they win, because I feel like this is 50,000 split amongst 10 people, amongst 6 people, right?
That still has to be a higher value than a vacation.
It is
To Costa Rica,
50,000
though?
as
I don't
many. If your team loses 2 challenges, suddenly you're playing for 30,000, and then you're in a money machine, and suddenly you only grab under half of that amount. And maybe a 10-day trip is something I want more.
Plus, we saw the way that they grabbed life rings from the sky. You think they're gonna be able to grab cash in a money machine?
Yeah, fair.
Let's see. Let's see how this goes.
And speaking of the money, we get one of the also like early 2000s like staples of like seeing the money in front of us, as like these guys walk in with a bag of the cold hard cash to show everybody what they're going to be competing for. Not real cash, right?
No, it definitely all has David's face on it.
Okay.
It was a funny moment, though.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Mel, Winnebago check here. Was last season, did we have Bessie, or is this the first time that Bessie is named Bessie?
I believe this is the first and only time that they, to my knowledge, usually it's just like Winnie the Winnebago, but this was a very special Winnebago because, as Matt said, there's a have-nots. So the winning group gets to be in this like luxury tour bus, which I believe us as a driver, because I was thinking that seems worse to drive that thing. But then the rest of them, the losing half, have to drive in this bust up, disgusting Winnebago, which they then make even worse on their own accord and have dubbed Big Bessie. So she holds a
And
special spot in our heart.
and that's the one that they spray paint, right? Like they
Yes.
this is
And then it
insane.
dies.
And then it dies. This is absolutely batshit crazy that they are driving around like on real public roads, a Winnebago that is spray painted with like all of these and like it looks like some things were either sprayed out because maybe production said you can't drive around with that word on the car, or I mean, because some of them are rather innocent. It's just like, oh, hey, Ronnie was here, you know, whatever they wrote. But I feel like there was a couple of words on there that needed to be covered up before they could take off.
Absolutely. I think we need some screen grabs, but yeah, there were definitely some blurred words. It's if you ever have gone to like a graffiti party in college where people like write on your shirt, it's just mess all over you with inappropriate things. And it was definitely on that Winnebago of a time is what I will have to assume.
Yeah, one of the spray paint things said like this driver is, and then whatever word they put there, probably not a good word,
Probably
is
not.
completely
True.
covered up.
Not great. Yeah. I definitely was shocked that they go ahead and just like, oh, you gave us an RV. Yeah, we're going to just absolutely destroy this thing within 5 minutes of having it. So kind of surprised they were allowed to do that. At first, they were like, oh, this thing's got 100,000 miles left on it. Did not believe it. And in fact, that comes to obviously not be the case when she breaks down. And I gotta say, by the time we did lose Bessie, I was very sad.
I know.
She was like the 11th cast member at this point, or 13th.
Which bus was it? Which was it Bessie or the other one that gets pulled over?
Bessie gets pulled over because
Of what's on it. They were being Deanna said that we were pulled over for that because she was obtrusive on the road or whatever. I forget what Jason described as. He's a very good narrator. He's a very good storyteller.
Like, yes. It's just so funny that this is like the show itself is being on public roads where like, yes, like you could get pulled over by by a police car traveling behind you rather than just like sending people off. Like that doesn't happen on, I don't know, on The Amazing Race, does it? Has it happened on The Amazing Race that people got
definitely
pulled over?
happened in The Amazing Race, and just like on
I
The
don't know what
Amazing
I'm
Race,
talking
I
about.
remember scenes of Road Rules where like they get into an accident or something. Like this is
Yeah, like
they're
you're
driving
racing
around
in
on
a
public
car.
roads.
And on public roads, it's crazy. A time and a place. But yeah, they end up with both of these different Winnebagos traveling with each other, going to the same destinations. And it doesn't even matter that, you know, your home base is your particular bus because you're allowed to go on the other bus at any given time. Like they all intermingle plenty throughout it. You get some funny scenes of when they are separated on their own Winnebagos that like they're like cursing each other out, spitting on the other bus in this initial scene, like giving the finger, moaning the other bus, which, you know, classic, I guess.
When they're like, I'm gonna spit on you, it's like, okay, ew.
I was like, when Noah puts his butt up on the window of like the mooning and then putting it all the way on the window, I've never understood that. Like I think a butt's a butt. Do you really have to make the glass all dirty? I felt really bad.
Now you have the butt window.
Yeah, it's
you
like,
break
okay,
yourself.
congrats. That's your germs.
So that was Noah that did that.
Yes, that's Noah. And if you ask me anything about Noah, I can tell you I literally cannot remember a single thing about Noah on Road Rules. I think him and Anne had kind of like a flirtatious relationship.
Okay.
A little bit like maybe like a will they won't they. I really don't remember much. What I remember from Road Rules Northern Trail, mostly specifically, was that they had to make a music video for the song Jumper by Third Eye Blind.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Pretty. Yeah. So that's like mostly what I remember of it. And there was another, there was Dan and Tara on that season, and they were like a couple, and I think they dated for a while. And then Ronnie and another guy named John, which I think John maybe shows up on a challenge in the future. I'm not sure though.
The only thing I still know about Noah is that apparently he objectifies women and is sexist. According to this show.
So he gets into a fight with Montana, which was like actually kind of uncomfortable to watch.
Yes.
He's just like, hey, Montana, by the way, capri pants, don't do it for me. Don't like okay. And then I was glad that she said, like, I'm not trying to impress you. I don't care.
Right. But then they are like physically not fighting, like it's play fighting to be fair, but like it's still just like I don't know. It's like unless you're like a couple, I'm like, this isn't really like, and like even if you're a couple, like that's like your own privacy stuff. But I'm like this wasn't the dynamic of two people that like them rolling around on the ground pretending to be play fighting like made a lot of sense. But
I
okay.
feel like it doesn't really surprise me for this time period. She rips his shirt off. He like rips her underwear. I was like, this is
just reaches in
Yeah.
there, rips it up.
getting to be a lot. They are vaguely flirty. Montana says that like she bets she will really like Noah in 5 years. Every so often she's like, I do like Noah. Oh god, he said something sexist. Never mind. So I think this is just like the standards of the time that like, oh Noah, he's young, he says sexist things, but like he's still great. It's like
Right.
So
he doesn't like that she's a feminist, right? That was the whole thing.
he literally is like, you're a feminist and I hate that. I'm like, oh, okay. He says he
It's like we
blatantly-
better look him up now, see what he's up to, or maybe
Noah
not.
says he hates feminists. I was like, okay, moving on.
I like maybe not that, but I like learning about these people who, again, we just don't know all of them today. Like going back to the beginning, we have a little bit more that we're learning about Neil here, who is from the real world London, as you guys were talking about, distinguishable from one or two of the other guys just because he has this British accent. So when we're meeting him, they're talking about how he's Oxford educated, and he has kind of no idea what he's doing with the rest of these crazy people here on this challenge. But and he has a doctorate, right? He's just like we get this
Dr.
impression of him
Neil.
that he's say again.
That's Dr. Neil.
Dr. Neil, yeah.
Dr. Neil. He
but
also
he's
has
just,
a
like, so much smarter.
crazy London backstory that we must address.
Please tell us.
Okay. So Neil is very smart. And also I do want to say that young Mel really slept on how handsome he is.
Ooh.
And I want to say that to my childhood self, like think of this better. But this might be why I never found Neil attractive. So while on the Real World London, Neil was in like a punk rock band.
Okay.
And the show was filming Neil performing with his group, and a woman in the audience kind of like beckoned Neil like down towards her, and then proceeded to bite Neil's tongue off.
Oh.
Excuse me?
Oh.
Yes, bit a chunk of his tongue off.
How much tongue?
It was a decent amount. And I'm going to assume if I had to guess of a real world clip that does still exist, it would be Neil getting his tongue bit off. So that is why I was really excited about this one, because that is a truly shocking real world moment that many of us will never forget. And probably again, why now in hindsight, I'm
what
probably
happens
like,
after you like? I mean, I've watched the Hunger Games, but like they don't get their tongues back. Does he not have a tongue now?
I can't remember what happened from then on. And then I was going to just make a joke now that in hindsight, when I couldn't tell them apart, I should have looked in their mouths to see what they were working with. I'm not sure. I can't remember that much of London. There isn't like that much to remember of it. It was kind of a boring season. I actually really liked it, but it was like if you think that this is a slow, sleepy show, boy, have I got the nighttime bed show for you, which would be the Real World London.
Oh my God.
Apparently,
like the largest conflict on Real World London was one of the American guys had an issue because ranch dressing is only existing in America. And in fact, I would say an entire generation did not know about ranch dressing until Mike went on the Real World and could not find it in the UK.
Apparently he did have it sewn back on with 15 stitches.
Okay.
Don't worry, it's there.
Okay.
Also Neil apparently conceded to being both misanthropic and xenophobic, so that's fun.
Oh, old school challenge. This is gonna be fun. But so that's Neil. Do we want to get to our first challenge here, challenge game, as the Wikipedia will call it? It's not quite a daily challenge yet, but
I'm
close
still
enough.
calling these missions.
Yeah, I assume that they were missions,
Fair.
but maybe I don't know, because there's a mix though, which is some of them they're competing against each other, and then some of them are their usual like Road Rules money making missions. Again,
Yes.
it gets a little mix of what is classic Road Rules and then what they're evolving to be.
Challenge
but man, can you imagine in
games.
modern ones now if they still had to like if you actually like got some cash to go to the bar, or if you won a daily, like maybe people would try a little harder.
Maybe.
I agree.
I will say roller derby is one that I think we get a couple more times throughout.
You absolutely. There is one in a future one that I almost just want to do a special episode based
God,
on
I'm
the roller
scared.
derby other
I'm
thing.
so scared.
Yeah.
No, it's a. I don't want to get too far in it because I want to spoil it for you.
Yeah, we'll get
it's
there
not a bad.
eventually.
It's not a bad thing. There is some.
Okay,
I will say that
good
there's
to
something in the real world culture pantheon, Real World
Oh.
Road Rules Challenge culture pantheon
Huh.
that I've not ever consumed in the media, that I've
Okay.
always wanted to, and it would be related to this
Ooh.
rewatch.
Okay, we will as we get closer. Maybe
Keep you
you bring that
posted.
up. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, this one is probably, I don't know, equally as injury inducing for some of the rest of them too. I feel like people tend to get hurt in these. They're like pushing each other down as the two teams are competing in this roller derby challenge to it's like best 2 out of 3, or no, that's the other one later.
No, yeah, it's just so apparently, and I've never known how roller derby actually works, so I was very
Same.
curious. I just knew that it was you're on roller skates and I don't know, you're throwing punches or something.
It's like
Um,
NASCAR, right? But just on roller skates.
apparently, you get 1 point for passing someone on the opposing team, but I'm like,
Right.
they all start at the same start line, and how many rounds do they go? I'm very confused. So I still don't feel like I have the exact the rules of roller derby down. And it seems like even like Nate gets really pissed. He's like, "Oh, I scored and you didn't count it. I scored twice." So like, who's passing who? There is different. There's the blockers and there are the what is the
There's
jammers.
pivots, blockers, jammers, and fluffers.
I don't think fluffers was a real thing, Matthew.
Oh,
I think we were joking about a
Joking, yeah.
different about
But I
what
do like
fluffers
that.
are.
oh,
Do you
I
do you know
thought
what
they
a
were
fluffer
saying.
is?
Well, yes, but I thought they were saying that there was fluffers in here and making a joke about how there's also fluffers in other activities.
Let me look up roller derby fluffers.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm gonna do that.
Put it in incognito mode.
Whatever.
I thought it was just like they were alluding to that. Yes, this is a term used elsewhere. Okay, no real fluffers, I guess.
I'm not really seeing the fluffers coming up on this. So.
Well, okay. Anyway. um,
Oh my god, if there were fluffers here, this would have been even crazier.
I do want to throw
Um,
out though that I would not be shocked if there was a challenge at some point on this season that did involve fluffers, because
Oh
again,
my god.
this
well, no, you're right, because these people are horny as hell.
they're horny as hell. It's the 90s. There are no rules, no limits.
I
Like,
mean, one of the first things somebody says, I don't know who it was. Was it Mark maybe that was like, "Oh, can we do roller derby naked?" I was like, well, "You just got together. Like,
Why?
if you want to go like bang it out on the bus, go bang it out on the bus and come back." But like,
the Winnebago. So honestly, roller derby is terrifying. Put me in a full body cast. I'm not escaping this without injury. The fact that it was only Beth that came away with an injury was shocking to me.
they were throwing each other around, and again, not in the way that they seem to want to. Just like pushing people over, throwing them across the way to like get them out of their way, and like this is why, you know, only not only in this challenge but in some of the other ones, the later one we're going to get with the bed race is not the exact same thing where it's like individual bodies on the line here, but a physical activity of trying to race ahead of the other team. And like they're just they get physical with it, and they get so physical to the point where it's getting the losing team, which in both of these situations is the real world, all angry and fired up and pissed off, because not only are they getting like beat up along the way, they're losing.
Maybe people were built differently in the early 2000s, because
I
this
guess.
seems terrifying to me. Just
yeah,
like,
I don't know why they chose this as a mission. Like, they're like, this is so fun. This is so dangerous. I was terrified for them. You won't catch me on a pair of roller skates.
God, Ligori can tell you about how when I went ice skating. I don't know.
Still thinks
I
about
feel
it
like
to this day. It was like 6 years
I broke
ago.
my wrist. I broke my wrist riding a bicycle right before I was supposed to go roller skating. So if you want to know my level of klutz, like, we're not going. We're not going.
Look,
to
I
any
like
of
roller
these
skating,
anymore.
but I'm not doing roller derby where I can get thrown to the ground like this.
I will
No,
say
thank you.
appropriate if was Beth to get injured, because it feels so on brand.
Yeah, she's
I
like right away, I feel like, you know, the Beth that we know of, just like standing out in front and being this like, you know, main character, despite, you know, not like this, like you have to make yourself a main character on an early season of a show like this, and I feel like Beth does a good job in attempting that for herself.
to me, I feel like so far I understand that Beth is like this hated character, and as we go into much later seasons of the challenge, I understand that. Right now, I feel like Beth is kind of a villain on TV in the same way that Jerry Manthe was a villain on TV,
Mhm.
in just that she was an opinionated woman and people did not like that back then.
Yeah.
I think she's just a bit annoying. And I think we start to maybe get a sense of the Beth of it all by episode 3, when they have to do the bungee jumping. And first it's, can I do it because I'm injured? which is, I think, a very logical question.
For sure.
But then it's kind of like, then it starts to transpire into just, I don't want to do it and that kind of thing. And it's sort of, I think eventually kind of plays out in longer term challenge of like Beth not really wanting to participate.
Look,
And
she was
you know,
real for
she's
that.
again, they are personality hires. And I think it's just maybe the Beth of it all of she's a dominating presence. And that is part of it too. Yeah, like you said, just a loud woman, but Beth is just a little more abrasive than the others.
And let's talk about the bed race challenge here too, which takes up like the entire second episode. It was just like leading up to us putting together the beds to race down a street. Apparently, this is like a thing somewhere that like this town does bed races. So they were going to participate in it this year. And for both of these challenges, Mel, Real World again comes out on not on top, not great morale on that team. They're just kind of looking around angry, even in confessional, like this team is never going to be able to beat the other team. Look who they put on it.
Agreed. It seems that Nathan takes it the most personal. I think the others are kind of cool with, they like the idea of going on a road trip and probably maybe getting some cash, but Nathan seems very competitive. He was in like a military, he went to VMI, Virginia Military Institute. That was like his real world thing. For those who maybe haven't met Nathan before. So he went to the military college. He has a girlfriend that they mentioned, Stephanie. I remember that was like a long distance thing. And they were always talking because apparently Kobe Bryant remembered that when he meets him. But I will say one thing that's notable about Nathan is that Nathan was part of one of the twist is a wrong term, but in Seattle, it was the first time the show put two people in the house that were friends, that weren't strangers. So Nathan and his military academy pal David were both in the Seattle house together. So it's the first time wasn't 7 strangers.
Interesting. Yeah, I just have looked him up. He is on Instagram still, looking pretty fit, doing a lot of biking content where he mixes in Bible verses.
Yeah, I was gonna say he praises the Lord a lot.
Quite a bit.
From what I gathered. I didn't go too deep on everyone's Instagram, but there were a couple where I was like, oh, what are you up to? What have you been doing? Janet was one that I was intrigued, like, oh, where's Janet?
Bring Janet
she apparently
back.
was a KTLA news reporter, which is huge.
Oh, nice.
Janet, her big, well, actually, let's save a little bit of Janet because she's going to be,
I love
the
her.
end of the episode. But with this bed game, or bed race, one of the big storylines is, of course, Beth and her injury. Scally, we see that she ends up getting taken to see some sort of medic somewhere who gives her crutches. And she's like, walking back to the house with at least a cane in one scene. She's got a brace. She's like, I'm way too young to be using a walker. But she still wants to be there and compete.
It was giving Omarosa and House of Villains a little bit, but we know it was legit. But that's what I was kind of thinking of when it's like, oh, you don't want me to compete, and they're like, well, it's up to you. And she's like, but the doctor said I shouldn't compete.
She comes in and they're like, we're to give you a boot. It looks like she's wearing just like one wedge sandal. She's using a little walker, and it was so funny. This like little like 4-pronged cane. I was so excited to see this. I feel bad. Obviously, I think she actually is injured. I would not want to keep competing after this. I wouldn't have wanted to do the roller derby in the first place. But to get this storyline where half of her team is like, Beth should go home, we don't want her here. Like, she's not going to compete. Like, screw Beth, why is she still here? Yeah, in no world did I think that Beth was going to be selfless and go home here.
No, never. Absolutely not. She's, she wants to compete for the money, and if all she needs to do to actually get the money at the end of this is stand inside of a money machine and grab as much as she can,
it's like all she can do. That's the one challenge she'll be able to compete the entire season is to stand in a money pit.
Yeah. With this bed race, what can someone explain to me why they were like getting all decorated beforehand? Like they're going to like pick out decorations for the bed itself and then for themselves. I think I might have missed those instructions.
I think it's supposed to be fun, right? Like kind of like when you see those Red Bull gluten tags.
Yes.
Like I think it's like that. You just kind of, it's like a spectacle. And I would assume that if this is this town's big thing, that people come and they've got like all their themed bed, it's probably like bed knobs and broomsticks. I'm sure somebody has done, or I'm surprised nobody did. At least I would have done like Charlie Bucket and his grandparents in the bed. I could go, honestly, I could do an entire 2-hour podcast where we just riff on ideas for what our beds would be.
It's just
so that's why I think
real
they
worlders
did it.
sitting in the bed. That's so
Can you
funny.
imagine? Like, to be honest, I like we talked about last week, in case you didn't listen to last week's, which what are you doing? And I talked about how my parents would have disowned me if I did the show. And I think because we're having this discussion of really that the real world lost out on me because I
Oh.
could have really upped the level of that bed challenge if I'd been on the show. But I wasn't old enough to be on the show
I was
yet.
so confused when they're all getting like dressed before the bed race is about to begin. And I'm like, is there a theme here? Because everyone is in a different Halloween costume. Someone's in a Speedo. We're writing things on one of them. And I'm just like, there's no theme here. And then they're
It was
making fun of
supposed to
Beth
be
for
the
doing her
village
hair.
people,
Yes.
apparently. It was the
Honestly-
real world were the village people, which it didn't translate as well as it should. But though Janet in a mustache looked beautiful. And then the Road Rules crew were bed bugs, which was a very mixed result of what they looked like bugs, because I
Yeah.
didn't think they gave much bug.
Yeah, it's like they're decorating a parade float is basically how I was taking it. And I think that I think some of the village people costume might be problematic.
Yes.
Probably.
But in general, I think it's probably for the time a better theme. I think even the Road Rules was like, "Ooh, you guys do look good."
It was the Village People is like an all-time classic. They just unfortunately have not aged very well, but the premise of it, and it was always a group costume idea. Just, some
For
of
sure.
those are outdated stereotypes that we should not portray anymore.
Yeah. Well, one thing I take issue with is Jason was saying that he's going to wear chaps and a G-string, and I saw no G-string. I saw full backed bikini bottoms on Jason.
Yes, unfortunately.
Well, maybe the rest of the season it'll come out at some point. Speaking of something that is going to happen throughout the rest of the season, Mel, did you have fond memories of the bear challenge that's taking place throughout this entire season so far?
I forgot about that until it showed up, and I was like, "Oh yeah, remember this." Did they give them instructions that it has to be in plain sight at all time? Because I do feel we've watched a lot of Hide and Go Veto. We could do a lot better than just
Oh, for
constantly having the
sure.
bear hanging in the window accessibly for you to just snatch at all times. But I thought it was like a fun way to play up the rivalry. Too bad that that's going to be $3,000 that just goes into a money pit. But again, that's how the show's working.
Yeah, if Scally, if anybody's not watching alongside with us and they're confused about what a bear challenge is, do you have any more explanation there?
So there was like this little, almost the backpack teddy bear that was starting in one RV, and then there was a challenge where you would have to steal it from the other, and the teams would like sneak back and forth in the Winnebago, in the tour bus, and they would invite each other over as distractions. Whoever ended up with the bear at the end finished with $3,000. And it was fine. I thought it was cute. I think this is something that like I kind of want from this era of TV, but it also is like just okay television.
It's like
Also,
summer camp.
Am I wrong? Did we actually get the conclusion of that yet, or is it still going to the end of the season?
I am confused.
I am also.
Same.
I remember it just like popped up, and then I couldn't tell. Like
Yeah,
they really
I
made no
agree.
circumstance of it. So either we're going to find out on
This is-
episode
okay,
6 or it was over and we don't know.
If all three of us are on the same page with this, then again, going to chalk it up to poor storytelling. We're not learning anybody's names with the lower third. We're not getting any detailed instructions of how these matches work, these challenges work. We're not getting detailed like explanations of who's winning the challenges, even when they're over. Because that one was another like mini challenge. It's just like something happening alongside the main challenges that are happening, so that's that. But I don't know, we have two more challenges to get to, but we also have a lot of interpersonal relationships that we should be touching on. Scally, anyone that you want to start with in particular of what's going on between these people?
Ooh, let's talk about Nate and Kaylee.
Okay. Is this the only thing that we see of those two?
Basically.
Yeah.
I think so.
But it's a nice scene. The two of them bonding over tragedy within their own lives. Both of them have lost a parent.
Yeah, it was like very like touching to watch these scenes. Nate talks about how his dad died when he was 15. Kaylee's mom died when she was 18. When she's like, it's a really long story, so maybe later. But they were both like extremely close with their parents. They talk about having a lot in common, and then eventually people are talking about how they're flirting. They might be a little showmance, but we have not seen that develop quite yet.
Right. And I'm also like, this is the scene where I'm like, oh, this is like, a nice conversation. And then I'm like, why is Nathan on the Road Rules bus? I guess
Yep.
not picking up on the fact that they're just allowed to be however they on whatever bus and mode of transportation to get to the other place.
You had Beth in the first episode being like, oh, I'm injured. I should go on the nice bus. Like,
Right,
let me
Of course.
ditch my team.
She just knows how to make. I think the thing with Beth too is she always knows how to make TV, and she knows that's like
Agreed.
what she's there for. And maybe for others, it's also viewed as less real then because maybe Beth is viewed as putting on a show as opposed to just being themselves, having a good time.
Yeah.
Fair.
But Mel, we're not going to see again Kaylee at all in any future challenges after this season. We are going to see Nathan one more time in a couple seasons from now.
Makes sense. He's so competitive. Kaylee, I genuinely forgot. And that's why I would have liked a little bit, maybe a flashback or something to remind us a bit about her before. I know she explained it, but I couldn't remember if that was something maybe covered on her season. And I just couldn't remember. When I saw her face, I remembered her, but I don't deeply remember her. And it's very hard to find a clear photo of the cast of Road Rules Islands.
Mm. And then Mel, you were talking a little bit before about Janet. Janet and Jason. We kind of mentioned them earlier, but the showmance is like they are doing everything they can with these two, and it's not like it's hard for them to probably put this together because there seems to be some genuine, I don't know if you want to call it sexual tension or just romantic interest in the air between these two, which I imagine they were looking to recreate the magic that they had of Rachel and Sean in season 1.
Yeah, I really like their chemistry together. It's just very natural and flowing. I think Janet is such cool girl energy. That's what I remember from then. And she still is now, where I was like, oh, I want to be like Janet. And she has beautiful, bouncy, voluminous hair. And she just is she tells like good narrations. Jason always pops on screen. If I recall Janet's stuff, I don't remember too much deeply of her, like what she did in Seattle. I just remember her being cool. I knew she wanted to be a journalist. Jason was like a poet, and I believe, much like most of the Boston cast, I feel in their season, cheated on his significant other on the show, I think.
Solid.
As did Montana, but it was just less volatile probably than that one. But and Jason had a really good relationship with Genesis, who we've been teased many a times of returning to the show, and it does not come to fruition. But I remember them being buds. But he's very attractive. She's very attractive, and they just seem to have a good rapport with each other, and they just have fun and laugh. And as mentioned, I did think for a long time that it was Neil, and that now simply is due to the hair color, apparently.
I like this duo so far. Janet talked about how she likes people who don't worry about what people think, that they're like, basically to the beat of their own drum. He wears nail polish, gasp. Don't worry, Janet, that comes back in. But Jason talking about how Janet is, quote, highly smoochable. So
I remember that quote. I remember it.
God, to be called highly smoochable, what a compliment.
Yeah, this whole cast is
why she's a cool girl,
highly smoochable. But yeah, so we have that showman's happening, and we also, is there something between Kifla and Ronnie, because they're talking about how they've known each other from past events or something related to the show. I think
they hooked up once. I think.
So Kifla says that they hooked up, but that might not be the current use of the term,
right?
Exactly. The older generation may say hooked up as in they met up one time,
right? So I hear we hooked up, and I'm like, I don't think that's what you're trying to tell me, but like,
I'm not quite sure.
Then we also get the scene at one point of like they were about to go out for the night or whatever, and Kifla standing outside, like leaning against the trash can, like looking like a model. And I think it's Ronnie that like looks out the window, and she's like, "Okay, I see him."
That was also a really good moment because we got to see, so Kifla, they were in LA for the challenge. And Kifla had friends who lived there in town that were going to take them out for a good time. And so Kifla and Ronnie went, and they went to a club that was like a predominantly Black nightclub, and they felt like being part of their culture and experience. And that was really cool to show that like they could be in their element and embrace the culture that they wanted to share and share that with the broader world and like viewing audience. I thought that was a really cool part of the show. And I love that they get to leave the house and not always be attached to the same 9 people that are also on this voyage with them.
When Ronnie says, like, I am out and I am around people who look like me and I feel so comfortable. And so that was cool to see. I feel like obviously now we probably would have like dove deeper into that and actually talk about like what that means and how that get other perspectives. But it was nice to see at least on a surface level here, so that was cool. And then you have every other person of the house. This is where you have them like play fighting and all at home being a little debaucherous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was the scene we talked about earlier with Montana and
Yes.
some guy.
Bless
What the
Montana.
hell was his name?
I would love to see what
Noah.
Montana looks like
Noah.
now, because in
See if I can find out.
1999, Montana looked 40 years old. So I
Oh,
would
my God.
like she always looked so much older. Like, and she's probably maybe at most at this point 25, 26 years old. I forget.
You know
so
what
I'd
we
love to
need?
see like what she looks like now.
We have like all these great documents of the confessionals, and some people keep their own logs of some of the episodes, but we need like the social media, like, full list of where we can find people on social media just to see what the hell's going on in their lives. All these
No,
years later.
Montana looks younger now.
Good on her.
At 49 years old, she looks
Maybe
younger
she just
now.
and maybe it was just that she peaked and then she stayed there consistently, and that's also admirable. But I just remember at the time being like, she looks so much older than even that, and that maybe was like part of her character, because Montana always held herself at a level of maturity. Well, and then she's rolling on the floor. Of like an intelligence level that felt compared to other people on Real Worlds, perhaps more
Yeah.
intelligent than the average person maybe there.
Yeah.
Let's,
A poise, if you will.
Scout, do you have anything else?
Conflicting reports on her age. She might be 45. I'm confused. But
No, she's gotta be older than
is-
there's no way she's that close to me in age.
Yeah, I feel like that's the case too.
Though I should preface also, or add the asterisk, which is for calling about when I said Montana acted more intelligently. I do recall that she let a child drink alcohol, so I do know that she is a stupid person.
Oh,
ultimately.
okay.
I don't know if you know that part of her Real World story, which is
I do not.
eventually the show gives them jobs that they do. The Real World Boston one was that they were volunteering at like a children's center, and they went to some activity in Montana, let one of the kids try wine apparently, and they denied it. And all the kids were like, no, she definitely did. And so she got fired and had to find another community service job. Somebody else might have also done it, but I can't remember. But it is another iconic Real World kind of thing.
Interesting, because eventually on the Real World, if you get fired from your job, I think you're kicked from the show, right? So
yeah, I believe so. So it was early on. They kind of were a little lackadaisical with their execution on that one.
Huh.
Interesting. Yeah, the Jill did corroborate, which despite Montana's denials.
I'll have to look it up. I'll look to see if there's any of these classic clips, and I'll see if I can remember to drop them in like the
That's
Patreon
wild.
or the Facebook, because I do remember that. I used to, obviously, when a Real World films in your area, when it's a pivotal time, it was the true biggest thing that could have happened in my life, to be like, they're filming a Real World in Boston. I would make my mom
along. Yeah.
I would make my mom and go into the city and drive by that stupid house. They hadn't lived there in 2 to 3 years, and I would be like, "We got to drive by
Can
the
we
Real
just go
World
see
house.
it? Gotta see it. Gotta see the house.
We got to see the firehouse. We got to see the firehouse. That's where they were." Yeah.
We're in New Orleans, and me and Chappelle are like, "Can we go see the Real World house?"
Yeah, I went to Denver. We found the Real World house. Like, and I didn't even watch the Real World.
Jemmy just did a little revisiting of the house video. I just popped up on my
Ooh.
TikTok today, actually, that she was touring back in to see what the house looks like today. And I think
these are
mostly
monuments.
similar.
These are modern pop culture monuments.
Yeah. So let's get back to these mini challenges, or both of the challenges that we have left. One of them that is not a proper mission. It's essentially a roadblock, right? That's when you have 2 different tasks in the Amazing Race. I know my Amazing Race.
Yeah.
And
they invented the modern roadblock.
Yeah. The options are Japanese Pacer or Snoop Doggy Dog, which is going to end up being one team. Well, first of all, we have some celebrity guests here. 2 NBA players, Kobe Bryant and Reggie Miller, confirmed last name Miller. And the two tasks here are going to
Reggie
be
Williams, by the way, is married to Kim Kardashian. That's who it was, or dated Kim Kardashian. That's who you're thinking of.
But I double checked, and I think there was a Reggie Williams basketball player too. But okay.
The 2 tasks here are going to be that one team is going to have to wash Kobe Bryant's dogs. By the way, of course, rest in peace, King. And then the other task is going to be playing basketball. basketball against these two guys. And the stakes of the game are that if it ends up being the Road Rules team that competes against Reggie and Kobe, and if they score for every point that they score, they get $20. And for every point that Reggie and Kobe score, they get $10 each. And as the game starts, you hear people from the Real World team like struggling hard. They're talking about, we just want to break even if we can. We don't want to owe them money. But that doesn't end up being the case. We'll get back to the dog washing. It is not good for them. And they owed $40 by the end of it. So it could have been worse.
I mean, that does mean that they more than doubled their score. The Road Rulers, terrible at basketball. I'm watching this and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are two people not on them? Like, you should have 3 persons on each basketball player. You outnumber them so much, and they're just all standing like in an amorphous blob in the middle of the court. It is some terrible basketball played by these people, and it seems like basketball not so popular amongst this group.
Finally, though, that they lose something because they've been winning
Good.
a bit. So, nice to be humbled. And by the way, I got it wrong. Reggie Bush is who dated Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is mixing up with the Reggies, but
too many famous Reggies out there.
There are quite a few Reggies. So yeah, this was not all my favorite comments here. It was quite shocking to see how many people did not know who either of these men were.
That to me, yeah, we're having a hard time with Reggie Miller, and apologies to disrespecting him.
This is
nobody knowing Kobe Bryant is. I guess maybe like
now, but I can't jump back in time to say because I looked it up and Kobe was 20 years old at this point.
Yes, he is very early into his career. I think it's his second season in the NBA at this point. Maybe it was just after his first, but it just is still like funny and very jarring and like wakes you up to the time. And all of them.
Story then.
That's what's so crazy is like now all these people could be like, oh yeah, I like met Kobe Bryant or I played basketball against Kobe Bryant. Like that's nuts.
That's like your work icebreaker when it's like, oh, we need a fun or like 2 truths in a lie. And you're like, fact. I love this, I love that. And you're like, and one time I played basketball against Kobe Bryant, and they're like, that's a lie. And you're like, no, actually.
No, watch.
Even you have Kaylee being like, I don't like basketball and I don't like the way basketball players act. I was like, I'm side-eyeing that comment. So
I'm also side-eyeing whoever was like, oh, Ronnie doesn't want to play. She just wants to sit on both of their laps.
Yep.
She was having a blast playing, by the way. She was like a rocket running around that court.
Challenge. She was having so much fun on like the derby one, this one. Later, she's going to have fun with the bungee jumping. She's just a star. Like, that's why
I love Ronnie.
Thriving. Yeah. It's a shame that we don't see her. It took so long to get her back now. When you see like, oh, this is like totally her element and compared to other people.
Yeah.
Sorry, Beth.
And meanwhile, we have the other team that again is washing Kobe Bryant's dogs. And the winning stipulation for them is that if they successfully groom them, I guess to the standards of again, feels like an Amazing Race judge, like giving them the approval or not. They get, was it $200 and a night in a hotel? The hotel suite?
Yes. $200 was the like base pay, and then if they, I think it was basically like if they look extra good, like okay,
we'll get you a hotel room for the night.
They get a suite, which the Real Worlders are kind enough to invite the Road Rulers up to as well, which is good that they got this because they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna tear apart the Winnebago so that we can make the bed for the last challenge. It's like you still have to sleep here and you're just tearing all of it out, but okay. Questionable. So I'm glad that they got the suite, which definitely seemed a little better, especially considering it turned out some of those dogs had fleas.
And you also have the Road Rules team who, by the way, didn't want to pay Kobe and Reggie their money that they owed them from losing that challenge. So they were about to run, and Kobe's like, no, we'll find them. So not
and
only
he kept the change.
So yeah, they gave him a 50, right? And said,
yeah, give him 50.
I mean, $10 is a good enough, hopefully good enough for the fact that they ran out on them.
Yeah, that's interest.
And they, what's it called? It's funny because Kobe is apparently a big Real World fan. He is asking a bunch of them, like, so how are your castmates doing? Are you still like talking to her or what's going on? Like, I was pretty obsessed with this. It's so funny that none of them know who Kobe Bryant is. And he is like asking for the gossip about their lives because he is a big fan of them.
Yeah, very funny.
It goes to show like how big it was in like the world. Like that really, like we all watched this of a time.
I just want to see like who else along the way. We need to keep some kind of tracker of like who the celebrity of every season is, because of course there's not always going to be one. And like in modern challenges, it's like okay, maybe it's not a celebrity, but we get maybe there's a celebrity like giving us the Burger King promo to like their new movie or something like that. So starting off strong with these two guys, Kobe Bryant, Reggie Miller. You almost had me questioning.
Here we
last
go
Sorry.
and last season, I guess it was.
Could I
just
make
Beth,
another request
but
of what you're tracking as you go?
yes.
So one, of course, is the celebrities, because I do love that too, of catching them before they're huge or whatever. And I did this eventually to a certain point, but since you're going all the way back, I'd love a tracking of prizes, because I do love a dated prize.
Yeah, none yet, right? We haven't had
none
any
yet.
like team sidekicks
Right
yet.
now it's still cash.
Yeah.
But once they start to get into PlayStation or XYZ, we'll have to keep track of that, because I'm
Yes.
very excited. That to me is a
Ooh.
real time capsule along with their
Mhm.
clothes.
Yep. Definitely worth tracking. The next clue they get from Mr. Big is that they're going to be doing something where they have to hold their breath, something that's going to probably be underwater. And it turns out that this next and final mission of these 3 episodes that we're going to see, ultimately ending in a cliffhanger, is the 2 teams competing as they're going to be going bungee jumping over the water. In the water, there is a little bit of a pool of rings that they have to collect when they jump off, and before they bungee back up into the air, grab as many rings as you possibly can. And they are a big mix here of excited and terrified. Kind of enough people to make 2 separate teams if you wanted to split them down the middle of excited versus terrified. But luckily for them, Scally, not everybody has to actually compete.
In theory, you don't have to compete. You just forfeit all of your points. And I think a lot of people are like, okay, I'll do that. I would actually like to forfeit all of my points, please. Not everyone is the most psyched on this. Beth, as we said, like, I'm gonna be hooked up by my ankles. No, thank you. To which they're like, we can just hook you up by one of your ankles. That sounds terrifying to me. That sounds absolutely terrifying. Like, you're telling me my one ankle is going to hold my entire body weight being flung around by a bungee cord? That sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Beth
Yeah.
wasn't doing it ever. Well, who knows? To
We'll
be
see.
continued. But
Yeah.
did we ever, even if Beth wasn't injured, do I buy that Beth would have done it? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody that did go up there, as of now, has gone through and done it. But the people that haven't gone up yet
Well,
are the ones that are the most scared.
yeah, they
And they're all real
definitely
world.
go. Like, Neil is definitely not excited about doing this. He like very much pauses. He is like, oop, no, I need to take a step back. But Neil does go ahead and do it. Gets one. Some of the early people getting 2. Ronnie does go through and gets 0, unfortunately. But we are really left with just a bunch of people. Like, Montana has said that her chiropractor said when you bungee jump, all of your vertebrae separate and then they come
I
back
was
together.
like, excuse me.
I'm also
I-
like, what 25-year-old or what? Again, the most. So you could be
The
Real World was
maturest
18 to
24-year-old ever.
25, which means that based on the timing of her doing the show and then like the time in between, she was at most 27. I'll say generously at 28. Who has a chiropractor in their mid 20s? And it's not impossible. Don't get me wrong. I know there are plenty of people who may, but let's do the odds here. This is so crazy. And then ultimately, of course, it just turns into, I just don't want to do it. She's afraid of heights. I'm terrified. And that is also a very
Yeah.
reasonable thing. But I do love that everyone first was coming up with like, what could be my reason to not do it? And then eventually be like, I don't want to. I'm afraid.
Yeah, I mean,
I-
that's exactly what's going through my head as I'm getting ready to do this challenge. If I'm them, I'm like, how do I come up with a good reason? Beth hurt her ankle, and so that affected me too. I don't know. I just like something stupid.
Yeah, it's a sympathy. It's a sympathy thing that like I don't want.
Yeah.
My
Beth
uncle
on.
died in a bungee jumping accident. I
Right.
can't do this.
Because again, we don't see Beth go, we don't see Montana go, and the cliffhanger here is, as Janet is also another person who's been terrified to get up there, she does go up there, and the episode ends of her just saying that she feels like she's going to pass out, her legs are shaking. I think it was like a full-on panic attack, or that's what it was being presented as.
She's like, I can't open my hands. Is that normal? And they're like, no.
Yeah, he's like, do you
definitely
have a
not
condition? Do you have a
normal.
medical thing that we should know about? And she's like, no. You're just
Yeah,
panicking, my friend.
I don't think there's as much knowledge in the late 90s, early 2000s about mental health and like different things like a panic attack. So would not be surprised if it were to go uncaught. And I think Janet is the type where she's like, okay, like I don't want to do this, but like I'm trying to be brave, and sometimes the fear just takes over. I know for me personally, I would rather skydive 10 times than bungee jump once, like no question. Skydiving seems fun to me. Bungee jumping seems scary. I don't know that I would want to do that personally.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you ever done like a ropes course at all? Because I had to do one once, and I don't consider myself afraid of heights by any means. But you had to at the end, you got to like a certain point at the end, and then you just had to like jump off the edge to the
Oh
ground.
yeah. See,
See,
that's my
it, just like
shit.
a leap.
Like I love those. I
Oh
love.
my God.
I'm
It took,
fine with that.
see, but what, not afraid of heights. I'm like, yeah. But when that time came for me to jump down to the ground,
Yeah.
I was like, it took me a minute. Like I
The
wasn't
first
sitting there
time,
like
the
Janet,
first
but
time
it
I had
was
to
like,
do that too, in the
yeah.
exact same kind of ropes course that probably you did. I remember being terrified out of my mind, but just like watching other people do it, and also we're not as high up as they probably were in like a challenge like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I think they're like
Makes it
70
a little
feet.
bit.
It
Makes
definitely
it a
is
little
like
bit
that thing to
easier.
get
Look,
past. I get
for me,
we
I'll
understand, Janet.
rappel. I would probably like I've wanted to skydive before for what bungee jumping. Like you're just by your ankles, and then like I don't know, give me a waist harness, and then you like have the chance of flipping over. God, it just scares me. That loose rope that could just do anything to you. It
I
scares
did
me.
think
Hey,
so.
nobody's
I
gotten
remember
hurt yet.
last week
Mm.
I remember we talked about, and you were like, Sally, I believe that these are safer on then than now. This one to me, I definitely had that moment where I was like, I feel like if I were bungee jumping, but I was like, I ended, like 20 feet ahead of the water, like higher up. But the fact that they were gonna have to like touch water and put their hands in, that to me was like seemed aggressive and unsafe, that I could dive in and like slap my face into the water, or like that you're touching the water. So you're making some sort of contact. To me, that felt like, oh, that's a little scary.
Yeah.
Fun.
Agreed.
Mm.
But I don't know. Anybody have anything else? We're gonna get back to this bungee challenge as we see the conclusion of it in the next episode, where we will also be getting into episodes 4. Well, that will be starting with episode 4, getting into episodes 5 and 6, and that closes out season 2. But Mel, did you have anything else on anything from this episode that we haven't gotten to?
No, I will tease. One is that since I'm not going to be here for the next half, I had to figure out what happened with this. But 2 is I'd mentioned to you all that there was like a formative music moment in my life of a song that like changed my life because I heard on the show. And I was like, of course, it's on the first 3 episodes when I watched it. So I did skip, and I was like going to go through all the episodes. Can confirm episode 4, the first time I heard the song, I was like, this is revelatory. And I think you might all judge me for it a little bit. But just know it was just something I had never heard in my entire life. And I still love the song to this day.
I hope
Thanks,
you're
Real World Challenge.
keeping your notes down. If anything, that like if it ends up being on an episode that you're not here with us for, that we can revisit at some point. Scally, anything else for you?
No, I'm just apparently they have the same mortality rate, so they're about as safe as each other, but varying reports. So no, I thought this was super fun. I think I'm very excited to jump into part 2 and talk about the second half of these episodes, and get into the Mount Rushmore of the season, see if anyone falls off from the original 4 that we put on, and I don't know, I'm excited.
Yeah. If you, I don't know, missed the first episode, or if you're wondering anything about the Mount Rushmore project, we are keeping a running tally of our Mount Rushmore of the challenge as a whole. We're keeping both a men and a women's Mount Rushmore. So right now for season, since we've only watched season 1, there are 2 women on the women's Mount Rushmore, leaving 2 wide open spots. And there's 3 men on the men's Mount Rushmore, leaving 1 open spot. But that doesn't mean that only 2 people from this season on the women's side or only 1 person on the men's side will go on. We're going to have a discussion and figure out who from this cast should either replace or just add to what we have already. Although we are also, alongside those 2 Mount Rushmores, keeping 1 for each season. So Mel, just kind of curious what names you may throw out there. Of course, we are, as of this podcast, only 3 episodes in, but like, I don't know, any names popping out to you that you think belong there?
Well, so I was curious about, so obviously the women's Mount Rushmore is half empty currently. Do you have to fill it each time and then take people out?
I think so.
Because I think that, well, I think I know maybe like where it will all go. For example, if it was just a cast and it only had Anne and Kaylee, would you put them there, or would you just be like, I think it should stay blank?
I think you have to. I mean, because if
No
we're talking like the
disrespect, they're
first
just there.
season, we didn't like keep anybody off and say,
Yeah, true. So they would get it by default.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think based so far and due to her legacy, listen, Beth, put that George Washington size head of yours up there. Like you can't deny Beth. That's the worst part of it, is that you can respect the hustle in a sense, even if she annoys you to no end. I think in terms of like narrators and stuff, Jason's up there. I think Keefla could earn one once you get charmed. I think Ronnie deserves it because I think she's an amazing competitor. And again, I think we've now been robbed of 20 years of potential, but maybe she has a very thriving career. I don't know what she does specifically. So she might decide to have a life besides being on TV, which some people haven't.
If after watching these last 3 episodes, if you or anyone else wants to write in and let us know who we think, you think, maybe make your pitch. I would be curious to see what everyone's thoughts are on who should be for even the faces of this season, because I am trying to evaluate it as in this moment, who do I think is the Mount Rushmore, and try to, as much as Beth and Mark have very storied careers based on, I would say both, but frankly, especially Mark right now. I don't think that Mark is touching that Mount Rushmore just yet. So
no, I mean, we have 3 more episodes to go that we haven't watched yet, but I would be surprised at this point if Mark ends up on this season's Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I think another way also, like, I would love to hear from people too, would be there's like the Mount Rushmore of it all, but also just the idea of who would you want to see again from this? Because I think that's very interesting to see, like, who actually got invited back down the line, even, no one back to back, but eventually, which is like, oh, I wonder why this person did. And they could have been invited in decline, but to know like who you would want to see more of, knowing that it's like telling someone's life story. Do they have more to share? That's always interesting to find out as well.
Yep. So I think that's going to do it for us for now. We'll be back next week to cover the second half of this season, Real World Road Rules Challenge Season 2. And then eventually we'll make our way to the 3rd season, Challenge 2000. Mel, where can people find you online?
You can follow me at Mel Got Served on all the platforms.
All right. Everybody make sure you are doing that and let Mel know anything that you want.
Message me too, because if you follow me and I don't know you're from here, I don't know if you're a challenge fan or a crazy person who wants to follow and kill me. Who knows? So message me. Tell me if you're pro or anti. Yeah, or both. Tell me if you're pro or against Beth. What are your feelings on everybody?
And if you want to help Mel, get the shirt from John from season 1,
help justify my John shirt, please.
We'll talk. But Scally, what else is going on for you? Well, of course, we'll be back next week. We're just this week talking about the second to third to last episode of the Challenge All Stars 5. Next week, the penultimate episode, as we're winding down on that season. But you're also over on RHAP with Chappelle right now, talking some stuff.
That is true. Myself and Chappelle are talking about $1 Million Secret, the brand new Netflix reality show over on Nothing But Netflix on RHAP. Tons of fun. People should check that out. I really did enjoy that series. I also am on Twitter at Brian_Scally, on Blue Sky at Brian Scally, and on Twitch at twitch.tv/bscally. So come check those out.
There we go. Check me out on the Diary Room podcast with Amon Adwin, talking all things Big Brother, all across Big Brother North American versions history. New episodes every week over there. And of course, here on the Free Agents podcast, every single week we do a bonus episode on Patreon, patreon.com/the Free Agents podcast, where we talk all of the extra topics of the week. So like this coming week in real time, we're planning on doing maybe some Summer House, some White Lotus talk, some Dondi finale talk. So if you want to hear our thoughts on all of those shows, plus does look like a messier week of Challenge social media where we haven't been getting that the past couple of weeks. So excited to get to that. That usually comes out on Monday. We record it, drop it right after. And just in general, over on Patreon as well, even if you don't want the bonus podcast and everything, there is an even cheaper tier if you want to both support the podcast and just get the episodes ad free. So check that out. See if there's anything that interests you there. Otherwise, other ways to support the podcast are by subscribing if you're not already, leaving us comments and reviews anywhere that you want to get the message to us on your Apple Podcast, Spotify feed, anything like that. And otherwise, we'll be back next week to wrap up season 2 of the Challenge. Until then, take care, and we hope to see you all in the future.